Good day and welcome to Soundcheck. I'm your host, Terry Difazio, and this is my co-host, Todd Pronto. The incredible Todd Pronto, not to be mistaken with all the other Todd Prontos that are out there.
There's so many of them, too.
Yes, I know.
There's lots of them.
Just like I was, do you remember the guys from Spinal Tap?
Yeah.
They said they liked how Yngwie Malmsteen used Yngwie G. Malmsteen, or J, or whatever it was,
Yeah.
to distinguish him from all the other Yngwie Malmsteens that are out there. And of course, there are thousands probably, you know. So anyways, the reason we're here today, amongst other things, is to discuss recording process and sound. But Todd has an album coming out today, June 2nd.
Today. Isn't that cool? This is the, which camera? There we go. This is the album. Ooh.
And just for all of you folks out there, who is that on the front?
This, okay, so this painting is called Opium Ghost. Actually, so the camera can see it better, we have a poster. So this painting right here is called Opium Ghost, and it's painted by a guy named George Fleming out in California. And he painted the painting just kind of on a whim, and I decided it should be the cover because of this girl that you and I both know. Her name is Holly Norton, and she is on the back of the cover, emulating the front of the cover. And when he sent me he'd sent me 2 or 3 different things because I didn't want to be on the cover of my album.
Right.
Because even though I am probably one of the most attractive men in the world,
no doubt,
I wanted to go back to where albums really had album art to them, and it's not just a picture. And he sent me that picture, and my mind immediately snapped to Holly, and I called Holly and I said, "How would you feel about putting a poppy in your mouth?" And she said, "What?" And I said, "Let me back up. Do you want to have some photos taken for my album cover?"
And what was Holly's reaction?
Oh, she loved it.
Of course.
Yeah, and so the
How
two
could you not?
together, I think, is a very striking package.
And now, had the artist seen her yet, or not?
He's seen it now. When we took the back photo, before we'd add all the words to it, I just sent him the photo. And I didn't write anything. I just sent him an email of just the photo, and he wrote back, "Oh wow!" like
in his craziest acid trip, he couldn't have figured this one, right?
Exactly. So it worked out really well.
Well, that's good. So let us go through the process of recording, because unlike what most people think, it isn't a matter of a bunch of guys go into a studio, they hang one microphone from the ceiling, and that's it.
No.
That's how Bob Dylan did it when he did Rainy Day Women.
Yeah.
But that was about the last time that was done.
Yeah, I think that was pretty common in the big band era.
That could be, yeah.
Hang a couple, but yeah, since the mid 60s, when did they come up with tracking?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, but I know that I was watching the movie Jersey Boys, which was about the Four Seasons.
Yeah, that's a good movie. I've seen it.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. It's not what you'd think, but boy, it was good.
It was very good.
And Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, I believe, the first song they did was Sherry,
Mm-hmm.
Sherry Baby,
Yeah.
and they talked about 8 tracks.
Yeah.
And they had never double tracked a voice before. And
Yeah.
so I would have to say multi-track probably came around in the early 60s, because I know, I think it was the Buddy Holly, you saw the Buddy Holly story.
Oh yeah.
They put the band on one track and they put the singing on the other track, and they sort of blended them into mono.
Yeah.
So I think that all changed probably around the time they decided to go to 4 or 8 tracks or whatever they do. So
that sounds about right, because back when like Buddy Holly and early Elvis and all that stuff, they were able to separate each instrument, but I think whatever level you had it mixed at as the recording was what you got. I don't think nowadays, the guitar solo is not loud enough. You just go in and turn up the guitar solo. I don't think you could do that back then.
Well, in the old days, when you did your mix, okay, there's a fader. Now you take a mouse and you click and drag.
Yeah, take this little thing and go. Meow. They still use faders in some of the big studios, but when I recorded my last album in Nashville, the mixing console was probably the length of this entire desk that we're sitting at.
Oh, no doubt.
And that might even be small.
What'd you figure it was about 48 channels?
Oh, yeah. And I said, how much of this do you use? And he popped up 2 channels, a left and a right. And he said, "Dah." And I said, well, why do you have all this? And he goes, well, if you're coming to Nashville to record an album, half of it's about show.
Yeah.
He goes, you don't want to walk into a studio in Nashville that's, you know, just a computer and a couple interfaces with microphones plugged into it.
Yeah.
Though I have.
But the other thing too, just in case this would ever happen, if he had a symphonic orchestra or a chorus come in,
He could, yeah.
he could separately mic everybody and just run it all at once, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Through
Yeah.
Did he have Pro Tools?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for all of you out there, Pro Tools is the industry standard, state of the art recording DAW, digital audio workstation, and Todd has an older version of it, and I got to tell you, it is quite the program.
I have the archaic version.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is, whenever I send it to somebody to have it mixed, Pro Tools, the newer versions can open the older versions.
Right.
But when they send me back the final session, I can't open it.
No.
I have to convert it.
It's the same as what we do here in the station. We have Sony Vegas 11, 12, and 13. And if you record in 11 or 12, you can up it to 13, but not vice versa. It's the same idea, and it probably obviously it takes time, but it also saves your time, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. Once you learn, you know, the one thing that still rings true since recording started is that it's still largely about mic placement. That's so much of it. You can fix so much in post-production nowadays. You can make, if the drummer missed a snare hit, you can fix that for him by just copying one of his other snare hits and putting it in the right place.
And tell us about how you fixed Holly's vocal. That was amazing. Tell us how we did that, because in the old days of analog, we probably couldn't have done that.
No. Well, okay, so she's on a song called Heartbreak Friend, which is number 8, I think. Number 8. I know my own music.
Hey.
So she comes in doing some harmony with me in the bridge of the song. And my phrasing is very weird in that song. I sing extremely behind the beat. And she was having a hard time matching her words up exactly with mine. So I said, don't worry about it. Just sing it, and I'll line it up afterwards. So she was I think she was ahead of me.
Right.
And
she would be on beat because you were behind it, right?
Yep. And then she harmonized with herself. So she did a high and a mid, and I did the low and then the main. And so 7th, 5th, 3rd, and anyway, that doesn't matter. So I just took her voice and went, and just moved it. So she sings exactly on pitch with me.
Yeah, and in time.
Yeah, and word for word too.
Yeah. So what you did was you did a cut, and you moved it.
Yeah. There's not a lot of that on this album though.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was recorded in Pro Tools, it stayed fairly true to what was recorded was what was there. But we did fix that one little instance. But we did not tune her voice. I have to make that very clear.
You should have had he has a sticker that says gluten-free.
I do.
But the truth of the matter is, you should have put auto-tune free.
I should have.
Because I'll tell you, I know of groups that will over auto-tune.
It's insane.
Yeah. And then the thing of it is, some of it gets so bad you can actually even tell now.
Yeah, that's the worst. Like the ones where they want you to be able to tell, that's one thing. But the ones where they're trying to be like coy about it and you can just hear that computer slip the note up into the right place, it doesn't sound right.
No, it doesn't. And it's really, it's taken some of the purity out of it, but I really don't think that the average person who listens to pop music especially, I don't know, I can't comment about country music because I don't know that genre that well and I don't follow it that well, but I would have to say that the average person who listens to pop music doesn't care if it's pure or not.
No. Well, pop music isn't really a pure form of music.
No.
It might sound like a ripping guitar that's in the background of, like, say, a Kelly Clarkson song, but it's not a guitar. It might be, but I would bet you dollars to donuts, and I don't even know where that saying came from.
And we don't even have donuts around here anymore.
Or dollars.
Oh, no, we don't have any of those either.
I would almost bet you that the guitars were just done with MIDI. I'm pretty sure that that's not a real guitar.
Now,
on a lot of that stuff.
Now Todd brings up a good point here. Here's a good example. Michael Jackson's song "Beat It."
Uh-huh.
He wanted to get it on album-oriented rock stations, and how he did it was he actually hired Eddie Van Halen to do the guitar track.
Yeah.
Okay, and there was another one. "Hot Stuff," a disco song by Donna Summers. The producer for that was a guy by the name of Jeff Skunk Baxter.
Yeah.
And he actually put a chainsaw guitar in that. So it was actually a live hard rocking guitar that was in that, rather than just some MIDI sample.
Yeah.
So
I forgot Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen played on Thriller, didn't he?
he might have done that too. Yeah.
I think he did the whole album or most of the album.
He could have.
And then like Paul McCartney's on that album.
Yep.
That's a great album.
Yep. As far as recording is concerned, it was ahead of its time. I'm not a big fan of Michael Jackson or the music, but there's some incredibly innovative stuff that has come off that, you know.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing too that I know Todd will agree with me on is that whether you like a certain genre of music or not, you can learn from other genres. Mm-hmm. Usually, Michael Jackson was not somebody I'd listen to, but he did certain innovative things that, you know, you can see other people have tried and copied today.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's a whole. There's really as much of an art to recording as the actual art of making music.
Yeah.
If you get a really good producer, you don't really have to be a very good musician, and that's not necessarily saying great things about the music industry, but
no, it isn't. Well,
it means they're putting out a hell of a product, though.
Yeah, and you know, it's a subjective matter. I think Joe Walsh said something about in the old days we went in and we did this and this and this, and now Beyonce had a #1 hit, and it took, was it 5 lyricists, 9 producers, and so many other something or others, and the song was 7 lyricists, and it had 7 words.
Yeah, probably.
You know,
they each came up with a word.
Yeah.
Get a good split.
And so there is what you have with pop music is pretty much, you know,
it's
overly processed music.
It's just like photography. You know, anybody with an iPhone and Photoshop can call themselves a photographer these days.
Mm-hmm.
But if you truly study the art and the lighting and the contrast and depth and point of field and all this stuff, that's a real photographer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Instagram, I mean, you can pop out some great photos without knowing what you're doing. And you can certainly do the same thing in GarageBand.
Yeah.
If you want to, which is a program for Apple computers that's pretty much all MIDI.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have a drum beat laid down, and then you can find a bass beat to match it. You can change the key and put in some guitars and then sing, and boom. This is GarageBand free.
Oh, okay.
Though some of the musicians on this album
still use it.
Well, we're actually in my very first GarageBand, like before Apple came out with GarageBand. See, the term comes from bands that used to play in garages.
Yeah.
I had somebody ask me that one time. Why is this called? It was a teenager. And he said, "Why is this called GarageBand?" And I just laughed. And I said, "What do you mean?" And I explained the term to him, and it was completely foreign to him.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
Well, we're going to get off into a tangent, but that's okay, because I had several more questions to ask Todd about this. But if any of you remember the old band Grand Funk Railroad,
Mm-hmm.
they were a garage band. And they came out, and when they finally hit their stride as a garage band, they even blew Led Zeppelin off the stage, and Led Zeppelin dumped them off their tour in 1969 or 1970, somewhere 1969, I think it was.
Can't be upstaged by the opening act.
No. And if you are, then you've either got the wrong opening act or you aren't very good.
Or you shouldn't be a headliner.
You shouldn't be a headliner. Well, evidently, Grand Funk happened to hit their stride, and that was the rest is history. But there was no auto-tune on this. And how many tracks did you put on this album?
It depends on the song. If I'm going to look at my cheat sheet here, the track list. The song with the most tracks on it is probably "The Devil Will Never Win," which is the very last song. Mm-hmm. And the reason there's the most tracks on it is because there's hand claps, mm-hmm. and there's a choir, If you strip it down to the essence, it's a drum beat that I did. It's not MIDI. It's drum samples from I cannot remember the library that I have, but I have some royalty-free samples.
Oh, good. Yep.
And in Adobe Audition, I put them together and created this drum in the bass loop. So if you strip everything out of The Devil Will Never Win, you're going to hear this.
Right.
And then there's actually no bass guitar. I did that with the loops. Acoustic guitar and electric guitar and a little bit of organ. And so that's not very many tracks.
No.
But then I doubled my vocals in places. And then there's probably 6 people singing the hallelujahs. And then I don't know how many tracks we did of clapping, but there's probably well over 24 tracks on The Devil Will Never Win.
Okay.
But then you go to a song like Heartbreak Friend that Holly sang on, and there's probably 8 tracks.
Yep.
I would say we'd used at least 24 tracks for most of it, but some only use 10, some only use, that's the good thing about Pro Tools. Like when you were recording your album in the 80s, you had, say, 8 tracks, and that's all you had.
Yeah, you had 8 or 16 or 24.
Yeah, so I could have 16 tracks and say, oh, you know what, I want to put a shaker on here, and so you just create the 17th track and you put the shaker in.
That's right. Yeah.
It's fairly free.
Because most of these programs have, your professional programs have unlimited tracks, pretty much.
Yeah, mine, I did max. I had recorded a song called Pilver for this album that didn't make the album.
Uh-oh.
And it might make the next one. I don't know. It's very industrial. It's a lot of drum loops and then real drums, and we just kept layering in drums, and we got up to around 40 something tracks, and I just have the light edition of Pro Tools. I don't have the super professional version.
Well, isn't it time?
It is time.
Yes.
I need to update my iMac, though. My iMac won't go any higher.
You'll have to get a new computer, too.
I do need a new computer. So buy this album. No, I'm just kidding. I can't say what it cost on here, though, or where to buy it. But you're creative, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we ran out of tracks doing this one. And I don't remember where it was at, but I have at least 50 tracks that I can utilize, and I'm never going to use that many. But this one, we just kept layering and layering, and it basically didn't make the album because I think it would have scared people. I think it was kind of like, you probably would have really liked it. I think it was very industrial, like Nine Inch Nails meets...
Oh, boy. I'm going to buy 5 copies now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to play it for you sometime. I mean, we were banging on pots and pans, and we had my buddy Jared doing like, it was very heavy. It might be on the next album. We'll see.
I might.
But I need to get more tracks to finish the song. I'm out, man.
Well, here's the thing. It's too bad that all these programs aren't compatible.
Yeah.
Because we have a couple right here at the station. Sony Vegas, which is a video program, actually will give you 20 tracks.
Yep.
And the other one we have is Sony Acid Studio, which is a smaller version of Acid Pro.
Yeah.
And and it's too bad these weren't compatible, because if they were, then you'd be able to mix and match.
Yeah,
it's kind of a shame.
The only way they're compatible is if you bounce at the end of, it's kind of like doing a mix down. You take all your tracks and you bounce them to one final left and right stereo channel. If you bounce each individual track from the very, very beginning to the very, very end, you can take the individual tracks and put them in another program. So there's a way around it. If you don't have Pro Tools and you want somebody to mix your stuff on Pro Tools, you can bounce the individual tracks and send it to them. But it takes forever. How
about this? Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You just gave me an idea.
Sure.
Something I hadn't actually thought of. So if we took 5, 6, 7 tracks in Vegas or Acid Studio, okay? You could take each track and make it an MP3
or a
WAV file and then send it?
Yeah.
I don't see your problem anymore. I don't see this as a problem anymore.
the only part where it can become a problem is if you want to make sure it's at the very end, because if you have just a millisecond of space where it's off, then you're going to have a hell of a time lining the tracks up so they're going to be in time.
So it'll sound more like Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah. The trick is, when you start to record and you hit roll and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, and you screw up, you drop your pick or whatever, and you do it again 2 or 3 times, you got to leave all that in. And you have to play every song to that track and back it all the way up to that start point, because if you just it's very possible.
Yeah,
but it's a lot more of a pain in the butt.
Either that, or what you do is you delete the track and start over.
You do that too. Yeah. I kept all that stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
Although the only part of it that made the album is on number 9, where it was funny because it's like one of the more serious songs on the album, and it's got like an orchestra and stuff. And when my buddy Micah was getting ready to play the we didn't have a cello, so I had him take an upright bass and bow it like a cello.
Okay.
And it gives the effect. I said something. No, I kicked over his bow, and he's like, "Yeah, well, you're a dork," and we laugh, and we kept that in.
Okay.
So but it's, you never know. You get good stuff. There's probably a lot of stuff that I couldn't keep in. Otherwise, I'd have to put the explicit lyrics thing on the front.
If you did that, Todd, you'd probably sell more.
Maybe. My next album will be parental advisory.
Yeah, it's really true, because when you put those things on, we talked about this in one of our earlier sound checks about the Wasp album.
Yes.
Animal.
Yeah.
It sold maybe 10,000 copies, and after they paraded this thing all over the country and put warning stickers and everything on it, it sold 25,000, 30,000.
Hey, maybe my next album will have a song called "Me and My Expletive Guitar."
One might, I mean, it's true. It's true. When you tell somebody that they can't have something, they'll want to know what it is.
Yeah.
They'll be curious enough to ask, what is this that I'm not supposed to hear or see or whatever, and you'll obviously sell more.
Hey, maybe I'll do that. My next album, banned by the NSA.
And the CIA.
And the CIA.
So you said you probably ended up with about 24 tracks on some songs?
I would say that would be the average. 16 might even be. My music's not real overly produced, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
It pretty much sounds like a band's playing everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say 16 to 24. But The Devil Will Never Win's a lot more. But a lot of those tracks, if I'm going to back up because this will be loud, but a lot of those tracks is probably just,
Yep.
and that's all you hear.
Yep.
But you put 10 of those together, and it sounds like a whole chorus doing it.
Yep. Yeah, I know. And like Todd was saying, the nice thing about the digital audio workstations that are around now is that you can add so much more. Whereas if you had a 1/2-inch tape or a 1-inch tape or a 2-inch tape, you only got so many tracks, and that was all you got. That was it. Yeah. Of course, I think that on Todd's next album, he should probably be pushing for the Nightwish record of 600.
Yeah, no, that's a little insane.
Yeah. Just remember, though, the computer can play back 250. Which is pretty good, because I can't even count that high.
Here's the difference between me and Nightwish. Nightwish used an orchestra, and I used a string ensemble.
Oh, there you go.
I had 4 people playing the strings.
Well,
they had the whole orchestra.
I've heard this album. I saw parts of it performed. I have an unopened copy, which will remain sealed forever.
That's right.
And I've heard this album, and I like it a lot. I think it's very well written and well produced. Your voice has improved a lot, because I think the last time I actually heard a performance that you did was at the Haskell quite a while ago.
Yeah.
And your voice has improved tremendously. And production is something that needs to happen now. You can't just go in and sound any old way unless that's what you're looking for, because the general public, and myself as included, I will not put up with stuff that isn't well produced.
Yeah, I had somebody that bought the CD. I won't say what their name was, but they said, "Hey, I put it in my car, and it was loud, and I didn't have to turn it up all the way to hear everything. And I'm like, well, yeah. See, what a lot of people, I think technology's made it amazing, and it's also made it worse because I had this mixed by somebody that knows what they're doing much more than I do, and I also had it mastered, which is a very crucial process. But you can go, I don't care what studio it is, you can go pay $35 an hour and track your entire album and mix it in the studio and put it onto a CD, and it's going to be quiet, and you're not going to feel the kick drum the way you should feel the kick drum. And
yes.
It needs, every single piece needs to be EQ'd by somebody that knows what they're doing to make it sound like a CD that you bought at the store.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much their comment. This sounds just like a CD I bought at the store.
Well, then we'll put them in a store, go buy one, and, tell me what's the difference. You know?
It is in a few stores today.
Yeah. And it should probably be in a few more, and maybe someday we'll get to that too.
I'm hoping. Yeah, we need to go on. We need to go on a door knocking spree.
A field trip.
A field trip. We'll be like those people that go around and try to like sell Kirby vacuum cleaners.
Or to try to sell your religion or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? It can only get worse, I think.
Can I tell you about my friend? It can't all be wrong.
And the name of his next album is going to be "Damn." Well, it was all wrong. I made a mistake.
Yeah. Oops. It was wrong.
Which was
couldn't be more wrong. I might do that. You wait.
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, in the process of you have started recording the next album, right?
I started this past weekend. I tracked to a click track and to an acoustic guitar, and my buddy put an electric part. Yeah, we've already started the next album. How crazy is that?
Well,
but this one took me 5 years, so I swear the next one's not going to take that long.
That's not crazy at all, because even in the process of finishing off an album, you'll get ideas.
Oh, yeah.
And I think after my album, Iconoclast, I think it was 2 months later I started the next one,
yep.
which never made it. So actually what I did was, the copy you have, I took 2 songs and I threw it onto Iconoclast to make it a little longer. But
so a couple of those songs weren't on the original.
No, they weren't. And one of them that was on the original I threw off because I didn't like it. But in the creative process of writing, there's no telling when you're going to, when you're going to have an idea. So okay, now I think I'm going to try this, and then
yeah,
you just start in.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'm more excited for the next album just because I don't know, like I think this one took so long to put out that the new one just seems so much more fresh now.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of these songs I've been listening to for 4 years. The final mixed.
Well, when did you play at the Haskell? Was that 2009 or 10 or 11, or when was that?
Which one? Because I've done a few. There was one that I did.
The one where they didn't promote you very well.
No, the one that I was trying to record a live album.
Yes.
Yeah, that was 2010.
That's the first time I heard some of these songs.
Yeah.
Like Dodge Dart.
Yeah, Arizona.
And
Me and My Guitar, probably.
Yeah. And what was the other one? The Devil Will Never Win. I don't know if I heard that one then or not.
Think
I heard that one when you played at a gig with Mark Shelton.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think I'd done the Devil.
And I heard the techno version.
Yeah.
Which was pretty kick-ass.
The acoustic version's a lot different, isn't it?
Yeah, and I tell you, the techno version was cool. I liked it.
Yeah, that's what's on the album.
Mr. Ezra had that high school auditorium. He had that place bouncing for the sound check, and then for the actual performance, he laid it back a little bit.
Oh, did he?
It was not nearly as loud for the other part.
Sounds the same on stage.
Yeah,
because the monitors are what they are. Yeah,
Now, in the process of doing your songs live,
mm-hmm.
okay. Say, I know you just did something at the Goodrich Library.
Yeah.
And it was a very small thing you did with a very small sound system, and you had a question and answer period and things like that. But when you're actually doing a performance, how critical is your front of house engineer.
Oh, huge. Huge.
I know that, but I want you to tell our folks out there how big that really is.
See, okay, so at the Goodrich Library, I'll just use this as an example. I would say the sound was okay at best. And the reason being, I had a brand new PA system, and I didn't ring it out for the room because I set it up by myself. I had no front of house engineer. I basically set it up and guessed. And I also didn't have any monitors, so I didn't get to hear what you guys heard. The front of house engineer is 100%. It can make or break a sound.
Yes.
I think I got a good enough sound at the Goodrich.
Of course.
I've since learned how to ring out that sound system.
Okay, explain. I know what it means, but explain ring out.
Okay, so I'm setting up a sound system in this room, and I'm talking into the microphone, and you're hearing this ring in your speakers where it really, really wants to feed back. And if you get too much louder, it's just going to start going wee, and it's going to drive everybody out of the room. So essentially what you do when you ring out a sound system is you make it feedback, and you figure out what frequency is, and every room's different.
Yep, that's right.
And you figure out what frequency wants to feed back, and you just dial that frequency out. And
through a graphic equalizer or a parametric equalizer or a paragraphic equalizer, or even some graphic equalizers, the better ones, from what I never had this luxury, but they even have feedback suppressors, correct?
Yeah, and that's actually I cheated for this because I was running. I set up the CD release party, which was a couple weeks ago, completely by myself, and I completely underestimated how much work it would be. So by the time I got the sound system set up, people started showing up to set up chairs, and then people were showing up with food, and it was, I needed to go do this, I needed to do that. And so instead of properly ringing out the sound system, I just hit the feedback compressors. And
and that actually
worked.
Almost took care of it, because I did not hear any feedback.
You didn't? Okay, that's
good. I told Todd this already. The only thing that could have been different was his voice was a little thin and Wayne's voice was a little tubby.
Yeah.
Other than that, there was no feedback, and it wasn't overly loud, and it wasn't overly quiet. So
that's good. It was definitely it wasn't. I wouldn't say it's a complete hack job, but it wasn't.
Next time he's going to have a 25,000 watt Meyer system.
Yeah. Well,
a line array system with subwoofers.
Well, in the
Goodrich.
Yeah, in the Goodrich. I think I'm doing the Goodrich again in August, and I promise I'll ring out the sound system that time. I'm actually playing the stage in Lyndonville on June 19th.
Oh.
And they have their own front of house engineer.
Good.
And monitors. So I just have to get there before the show, and they.
Do you know what equipment they're using?
No idea.
Let's hope
it might be on their website. I don't know.
Let's hope it's not JBL.
Yeah. I don't
or
know.
Behringer or something like that.
I have a feeling it's not, because they do music pretty much 7 days a week there.
Yeah.
So.
For all of you out there, JBL used to be one of the better systems out there. Not anymore.
No.
There was a big long talk I had with the Nightwish's front of house engineer, and he ranted and raved about how much he hated it. But essentially, the best ones now, QSC is a good one. EAW, Eastern Acoustic Works, is a good one.
Yeah, it is.
The one I just saw at UVM at their commencement on their whatever the green is out there, that was Meyer sound. I was absolutely stunned at how clear and clean everybody's voice was. And the other one I just saw, which was up in Quebec, was L'Acoustic, made in France. All of those systems, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I'll let you know for sure. It might be on their website.
Oh, the other one I don't much care for is PV.
Oh, yeah.
They're good, but they're not that good.
PV is great if you're on a budget.
Yeah.
However, I wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't so much mind using their sound systems, but I would never use their guitar amps. But then again, if I played metal, I might like PV a lot better.
Well, you know what they did? They did special, and he's since then left. But they custom built an amplifier for Joe Satriani.
Yeah.
And of course, if you build it to his specs, of course it's going to sound good, you know.
Oh yeah.
And since then, I think he's gone back to Marshall, but I'm not sure.
Probably.
Something like
Marshall's
that.
got a good beefy tone.
Oh yeah, for sure. But as far as sound gear is concerned, if you're on a budget and you just need something that's going to sound passable, Peavey will do it for you. Behringer, I've heard Behringers. They're like the Walmart version.
Yeah.
Or the Kmart version.
Yeah, they are. I've got a Behringer mixing board. I never use the thing because it's about the size of this table, and I don't have speakers that are strong enough to deal with it. But I mean, I'm essentially a singer-songwriter. Like, I hate to use the word folk singer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's essentially what I am. But most of the time, when you think of folk singers, you think they're going to have a pan flute with them and they're going to be singing about the beautiful trees. So I'm like an alternative folk singer. That's what I am. Alt folk.
Control Alt Delete.
Oh, that's great. I have the hardest time when people ask me what kind of music I do. I'm like, I don't know, because it's not rock, it's not country, it's not folk, but it's all of those combined.
Absolutely, I agree.
That's what I'm gonna start saying. I'm alt folk, alternative folk rock, blues.
Yeah, metal.
Gravel. Acoustic gravel. That's what I play.
Now that is a genre I hadn't heard of. You know,
play
I
acoustic
bet that
gravel.
would catch on.
That's what it is.
Acoustic gravel. Bob Dylan only wishes he sounded this good.
That's right. I'm going to use that. Acoustic gravel.
And of course, on your bigger shows, and Todd will bear me out on this one, on your bigger shows, your front of house engineer is extremely important, but also your monitor engineer.
Oh, yeah.
I think they call him side of house, is it? Or left of house, right
Left
of
house, I've heard, and I've heard side of house, yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you can have up to 4 different monitor mixes,
Yeah.
which is tricky. I would never even attempt something like that.
I don't know much about live sound. I know much more about the recorded sound.
Yep.
But, yeah, if you're playing with a band, what I generally do is I tell the left of house or side of house guy, I want the snare and the kick drum in my monitor and the bass guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, and my acoustic. I
Mm-hmm.
never want the lead guitar in the monitor. And I don't want the people singing harmonies in my monitor because I can hear them through the main speakers enough. I want to be able to focus on, where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got the bass and the kick drum and the snare, that's all you need to follow.
Yep,
that's
pretty much.
your, especially the snare, but the kick drum just makes you feel like you're rocking out.
Oh, yeah.
But I think a lot of people would be surprised if you're not a musician when you go to a concert and you hear everything just blasting out this wall of sound at you. If you went on stage and you stood in each different section of the stage, I think you'd be surprised because it doesn't sound like that.
No.
The electric guitarist probably, knowing electric guitarists, they probably just have themselves in the monitor, nothing else.
Yep, that's true.
The bass player probably just has the drummer in the monitor. The harmony singers, I'm guessing, have the rhythm guitars, or if there's a piano, and their vocals and the lead vocals. So as you walk around a stage, you don't hear the full mix until you actually step in front of the speakers.
Yeah. I was the last time I spoke to my friend Bryce, who has a recording studio and does live sound. He's one of the few guys I know that can do both, and he does them really, really well. I was asking him about something. He says, I gave these guys 4 separate monitor mixes and they wanted more. I'm going, are they crazy? They want one guy to do the main mix and 4 monitor sends? That's nuts.
Yeah. Well, I played a show. Do you remember the show I played at Prouty Beach? Did you go to that one?
I didn't go to that one, no.
We had a sound guy. The monitors were the front of house. That's all he could do. So the drummer's like, can I have like my vocal in my monitor? The guy's like, no. And I said, well, can you, pull my acoustic guitar up a little bit? And the guy's like, no. Like, all he gave us, 3 monitors, exactly what the audience was hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah, well, it would depend on his mixing console.
Yeah,
now,
I don't know what he had.
The mixing console has slide faders for the main.
Yeah.
Okay? On each channel, there should be a monitor send.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he could tweak for you guys.
Yeah.
That's what he could have done. Maybe he didn't understand that,
He
or maybe
was-
his mixer didn't have it.
He was filling in for another sound guy that I actually hired.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think he was familiar with the sound.
Probably.
But monitors are a lot more crucial than people think, and that's actually something that I'm adding to my new sound system, because even at the Goodrich, I couldn't hear my guitar that well. You guys could hear it fine.
Oh, yeah. It sounded good.
I remember back in the day when I used to be young and crazy and I'd stage dive. And I remember, I'd sing. I was just a singer, and I'd throw the microphone on the ground and I'd dive out into the crowd. And I remember how much louder it was the second you crossed that threshold.
Oh, yeah.
I said, holy crap, we're loud.
Yeah.
Get me back on stage where my ears aren't bleeding.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I know. Hopefully, by the time you get to the Goodrich again, which is when are you going back to the Goodrich?
August. We haven't picked the date yet, but
Okay.
it's going to be in August.
We can get that straightened out for you.
Oh, well, I'm ordering a monitor today.
Oh, is that right?
I just don't tell anybody, but I just got pre-approved for a Sweetwater credit card.
Ooh. Sounds sinister.
Oh yeah, but I'm using it.
Yeah, well,
I got pre-approved last night.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Oh.
I won't say how much, but I saw the thing and my eyes went cha-ching.
$2.88.
That's about it.
Yeah. What kind of monitors are they?
I'm actually buying something that's completely different. If you're an acoustic guitarist, this might be an interest to you. It's an acoustic amplifier made by Fishman,
Oh, okay.
and I played through one over the weekend at a friend of mine's house. And the one thing, and you being a former sound guy will know, when you plug an acoustic guitar in, it doesn't sound like an acoustic guitar.
No, it's a bit electrified.
Yeah. So Fishman has perfected, I don't want to say perfected, but it sounds a lot like an acoustic guitar. And the way I play, I hit the guitar a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And through my PA, it just sounds like a thunk. Through this, it actually, you feel the body of the guitar when you do it. So I played through their little acoustic thing. Then I started doing some stuff on the web. And what I'm going to do is Fishman makes an amp, and it's about 120 watts, which is insane for an acoustic guitar. But it tips back like a monitor. You plug in your acoustic guitar. You can also plug in your vocals. And you can use that to do a room probably the size of the Goodrich just by itself. What you also can do is each channel has an out.
Oh.
And it's there's a full out, there's a mixed out, so I can mix my guitar and vocals and just send a line.
Oh.
And you'll get that. There's also a mix for each channel, so now I can have the guitar, the acoustic amplifier pointing at me. That can be the mix that I want to hear. Send the left and the right out to the main monitor, and they
Okay.
can adjust it however they want. So I'm doing it that way because it also is going to be an effects processor for my guitar.
No.
So I'll have the monitor. We will still have to ring out the other system, though, because that monitor is just going to be, that amplifier essentially will become my monitor, and it's going to be pointing at me.
Okay. Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's I'm excited for it.
Well, I would imagine so. I mean, and that's one of the reasons that Todd and I enjoy working here so much, is because it's almost like Christmas.
It is.
Every once in a while, you got a new piece of equipment. It's like, wow, look at this.
I'm probably having it delivered here, Terry, but you probably won't get much use out of it.
Probably not. No, probably not, since I don't play guitar.
He'll hook it up down in the studio. You ought to hear this monitor. 120 watts blasting.
That might. I'll tell you what. We'll put them right next to our new Genelec speakers.
There we go. Yeah, we'll order some of those. I'll see what's left on my credit card after.
Isn't that right?
That's the life of a musician right there. You play through a piece of equipment that you love so much, you apply for a credit card.
So, would you mind me asking, where's this thing made?
I don't know. Fishman. It's
It's
made in Fishland.
It's really.
I think it's an American company, but I'm not really sure.
It could be. Here's a funny story. Before we'll end the show here. There was a stereo, a very high-end stereo company called Luxman,
Yeah.
and everybody thought that it was made in either Europe or New York or something, and it turned out it was a Japanese company.
Yeah. This very well could be made in China. I'm performing with another acoustic artist on the 20th I might as well promote her show, right?
Why not?
She's another singer-songwriter. Her name's Emily Nyman. I'm sure you've heard of her. I'm guesting with her, doing like 3 songs at the Natural Food Store the day after my show at the stage at June 20th. And so I was practicing with her, and she's got one of these little Fishman acoustic amps, and I'd never played through one before. And the one that she had, Terry, was only like 60 watts. It was probably this size, and the sound is unbelievable. It's I don't know how they do it, but it's different than plugging into an electric guitar amp. It's made specifically for the acoustic guitar.
Yep.
I was that impressed. I said, I'm going to buy one. And she goes, well, when you do the show with me, I'm probably going to use this for my guitar and vocals. So we'll have to figure out what to plug your guitar into. And I said, don't worry, I'll have my own by then.
Good.
Because I was that impressed with the stupid thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it solved my monitor issue. So now instead of having to buy a monitor, which I probably would have bought like EAW or something. But instead of buying a monitor and some like processing for the acoustic guitar, now I just have this one thing. And then if I do a little show, like if we do one in here, I could essentially just use that.
And we can just mic it up.
You could mic that, or you could take the direct out.
Yeah, any of that stuff. Yeah, and we're going to be upgrading our stuff in here too.
We are.
As soon
We're
as
going to be multi-tracking soon.
I sincerely hope so, and I think we might be the only station like us that is doing that, because I know that a couple of other stations, they hire out their sound people.
Yeah.
For live shows, and we want to be able to do multi-track at least in here.
Yeah, we're audio people, so.
Yeah, we're that special and terrific.
We are.
So Todd, this is the new album.
This is it. It's the real deal. See, now you know. This is how you know it's real. It's not blue on the back.
No.
Yeah, that's it, man. This is the new one.
Oh, if you don't mind me asking, who did like the master copy of that?
The like the printing?
No, the master copy of the CD itself.
Oh, okay, but not the mastering of the audio, the master copy.
Yeah.
Okay. Disc Production Services.
Oh, okay.
Which is a company that does disc makers, Oasis. They do it for like 3 others. They're the same people that do, Sony, Universal, Columbia.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're a huge plant in New Jersey. They actually did this poster too.
No, hold that one up too.
See, if you buy a whole bunch of CDs, you get a really good deal on posters. If you don't buy a whole bunch of CDs, the posters are expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sure.
they're in. That's why it says on the back of this. It does say, you're not going to see it here, but it says "Made in the USA." It was made in the USA. I could have probably saved money by having it done in China. I could have saved a lot of money, but quality purposes, if this CD came out when the colors were smeared, these guys are in New Jersey. I mean, I could essentially drive down there and smack them.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have to, because they guarantee all their work.
Or hire somebody to do it.
I'd hire Terry.
Yeah.
He's probably got connections down there. His last name's Difazio.
Yeah. Well, Todd, we're going to have to do this again.
Okay.
Probably maybe by the next time you have a couple of gigs under your belt and
Sure.
you promoted the album some more.
I can bring that cool amp in.
Yeah, and
We'll have to figure out how it works, though, so we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and we'll also set up and we'll do like a live show here. We did it once before. I think it was in 2009 or 10 when Lucian was here.
It was right before I started recording this. Yeah.
I don't even remember what songs you played.
I don't either.
Don't even remember. I remember doing it. I remember I was running the. I don't know if I was running a camera.
You were running the camera.
I was running a camera. There was a 2-camera shoot.
2 cameras.
We'll do 4 minimum.
Sweet.
Like today, by the way, this is the first time we've done a 4-camera shoot since Kevin was here, and this one is actually mounted way up there. Like I'm waving to it. We mounted one way up there on the wall, and you'd have to. We figured it out. You'd have to be 6'7" to hit your head on the thing.
That's not too bad.
So it's not going to be
I've got one friend that can do that.
One. Is that Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah. And who knows? We may go to 5 cameras, and because when people do concert videos,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't matter what band. I talk about Nightwish a lot just because I like them so much. But any of these bands that you see that do concert videos, they're using typically 7.
Yep.
And 7 covers everything.
whole gamut.
They've got these things on trolleys. They have them on boom cranes, and and all over the place.
They got the guy running around the stage getting like the guitar solos and stuff.
I didn't see that the last Nightwish one at Wacken. I did not see that.
Really?
I didn't happen to see that.
Those guys are annoying.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I did a couple shows in Nashville where the guy running around on the stage, and I don't think they were filming it for DVD. He was for the the monitors that the crowd sees. And you'll be playing guitar, and then you'll turn around, and the guy's like right underneath your feet, like shooting up, and you're like, "Huh!" It's really weird. I'm sure if you do it all the time, you get used to it. But I almost tripped over it because they run out. They're dressed in black, and they've got their cord, and they run out and they focus on you like you're playing your guitar solo, and then they run away.
Yeah, and they've got a guy that takes up the cable and lets it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
And those guys, they're like ninjas. You'll be singing, all of a sudden you look down and they're right there, and you're like, ninja. Kick them.
I can't wait till that happens.
Me either.
Anyways.
Next time I do that, I promise I'll kick the guy.
Okay.
It probably won't. Man, I don't know. This is gonna have to do really well on the charts for me to have to be able to play a show like that again. But,
you think maybe at the Goodrich or the Natural Food Store you're gonna be able to get a mosh pit going next time?
I mean, I'll certainly try. The Goodrich has a lot better space for a mosh pit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just stay away from that grand piano and all the memorabilia that they have.
Yeah, I would actually pay to see a mosh pit at the Haskell and watch everyone's reaction.
Oh God.
I would pay to see that. I really would.
You'd probably have to pay for the repairs too.
I don't know. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be the main booking agent. I'd just be sort of out in the crowd.
The instigator.
Exactly. Hey Todd, it's been a good show. We've put out a lot of information here. You need to hear it. You need to hear Todd's new album. You need to really hear the production value in it, and it was well done. I recommend it. I've got a copy. I even helped him. I even sponsored part of the album so we could get it recorded, and it was well worth it, extremely well worth it. And we're even going to do this. I've actually done part of this already, and Todd and I have to work together on this. I played this through another processing device called the Barkasberry Sonic Maximizer, and we put it on DAT tape because that's the only way I could get it on there through this piece of hardware. And now we have it on DAT. Now we have to transfer it back to a CD somehow.
It's really crisp, though. It's such a difference.
Yeah, and I think I told you the one of the Delane albums. Actually, the last 2 Delane albums I have. I can't believe how incredibly crisp they sound. I don't know how they did it.
I don't know how they did it.
I better call them up and find out.
Yeah, you made me a copy of it. It's insanely crisp.
I was like, wow, these guys really paid attention to detail.
Yeah.
Whomever produced this really paid attention. So we will do this again.
Alrighty.
And whether we've annoyed you or not, we don't care. We're going to keep doing it anyway. So, but the funny thing is, this show Soundcheck goes out on the VMX and on Teleview. And the last time we sent this out, approximately 12 stations picked it up, but 4 of them were from out of state.
That's right.
Out of state stations picked this show up.
That's right. So
if you're not listening to this show, you're not being hip.
That's right.
Simple as that.
Or knee. Or waist.
Or waist. That's how I'm going to end this show. Thank you for watching. Let's do it again, Todd.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was showing off my album.
Okay, this has been Soundcheck, and we'll catch up with you the next time on the flip side.